Hello, welcome to the new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 teams for the Master League Premier Cup. So, Master League Premier Cup is going to be back after quite a long time, I think. We're only going to have here Pokemon that are not legendary, not mythical, no Ultra Beast, nothing like this. So, only normal Pokemon that you can encounter in the wild, just like any other Pokemon. So, it's going to be an interesting meta. Of course, if you enjoy those type of videos, feel free to subscribe. And let's move right into the meta. Taking a look at the meta right now, we're going to see on top here the Dragonite. Dragonite going to have great coverage in this meta, especially with the super powered, putting up a lot of pressure with the Dragon Breath. Also, the Shadow variant is very viable. We're going to have the Gyarados up here as well, which is going to be buffed this season as well with the Awkward here. Same goes for the Goodra, which got access to the move as well here at number 7. Snorlax as a good face-up here right now as well, I feel like, especially in a meta where quite a lot of Pokemon are quite, I don't know, like it's like you have a Dragon type core, you have like the Fairy type Pokemon, you're going to have the Steel type Pokemon, so like this Pokemon is kind of nice, but you kind of have to be a little bit careful because at number 5 you're going to have here the Annihilate, which is like the hardest answer basically to the Snorlax, so that's something you have to be a little bit careful about. Otherwise, Excalibur kind of high up here. Like, I don't have this Pokemon, I don't know if you have this Pokemon, but it's a little bit tricky to get the XL candy for it. Feraligatr looks really good. Skeletor looks actually really good as well. Hisuian Avalak, I would expect that this Pokemon is going to be very common as well, no matter quite a lot of flying type Pokemon, so it does make a lot of sense. Ursaluna actually looks also like a solid Pokemon. Hippowdon as well got buffed this season with Sand Attack, so quite a lot of Pokemon here that are very, very solid. Golisopod, I would imagine that this Pokemon has a lot of play as well in this meta as well. Same goes for Golden Ghost, so you're going to see quite a lot of good teams around those Pokemon that are just showcased. There are some sleeper picks as well. Magnezone is going to be one of those, like definitely something that you have to take a look at. This Pokemon is going to be insane. But what you see also is like Metagross is a little bit lower than before, with like only rank 20 because of the buff of the Gyarados. Gyarados is going to be one of the biggest meta threats possible. We even see here Armarouge and Ceruledge. I don't think anybody has this one build yet for the Master League. But yeah, this is going to be the meta. Let's take a look at the top team. Taking a look at team number 1 here, we're going to see an ABB style line. We're going to have a team with the Seiza of the Snorlax, which is an interesting one, which you kind of want to talk about a little bit as well. We're going to have the Gyarados as well as the Dragonite here for the lead, and the Rhyperior or the Skeledirge in the back. Skeledirge looks like a lot of fun, the Rhyperior as well. The thing here with Snorlax is, what I was thinking about as well when I did like the team building in general, the meta analysis for this Pokemon, is that you maybe don't want to run super powered in this Pokemon, because something like Outrage would make a lot of sense, especially if you're going to have a lead that's going to be great against Annihilate. You're most likely going to basically bait this out if the opponent has it, and so if you don't run something like the Outrage or something like this, Annihilate is going to completely hardwire you, so maybe this would be something that you'll want to change up a little bit for this one if you, yeah, depends on the meta. Honestly, like, I'm not too sure how many people have an XL Annihilate build for this meta, but it is what it is. Let's move on to team number 2. Team number 2, we're going to have a team here with Goodra. It's kind of more of an OG one. I have to say that I feel like that running the lead of Metagross on general Metagross in this meta is really hit or miss, because Metagross has the option, of course, to be very good against Fairy type Pokemon, which are very strong in this meta, like Florges, like the Primarina, which you're going to have a team as well for, or yeah, there are going to be other ones as well, like Torricus, for example. You're going to have a great time against it. But Gyarados, especially after the Awkward Tail buff, is going to be even more common now as well, so it is a little bit of a trickier one maybe for the Metagross, but it's definitely still an option. Swap here of Gyarados, supposed to get out a potential Fairy type. In the back we're going to have a Dragon lurking, so basically a very solid ABB style line. Again, we're going to have a lead that is good against Fairy types. We have a Swap that should bait them out, and then we're going to have a Dragon in the back. Team number 3, we're going to have a Nepalip. Nepalip is going to be a great Pokemon to play in this one. Is, by the way, the only way of saying or writing this name. Going to be a great Pokemon, especially in the lead, but also as a Swap for this current meta. So like, this Pokemon is going to be actually very strong, as you can see here, for the meta that we're currently in. Annihilate is, or Nepalip is going to be able to get up to 3600 CP, and also going to be kind of weak against potential Fairy type Pokemon. So we have like 2 Pokemon in the back that we could use as well that is going to be good against Fairy type Pokemon, like the Skeledirge or also the Magnezone. But here we're running the Feraligatr as well as the Hisuian Avalak. Hisuian Avalak is going to be one of the most important Pokemon in the meta, I would say, because you're going to be able to beat those flying type Pokemon quite easily, like a Dragonite or the Gyarados. So I would imagine that this Pokemon is going to be amazing. Very weak against Golisopod is going to be this team. Unless you're going to run the Magnezone in the back, then you're going to have a little bit of a better answer for this Pokemon. But yeah, Annihilate, definitely a great Pokemon to play. Next one, we're going to have a double ground line. Here, I would actually recommend you to go for Hippowdon as a safe swap over the Ursaluna. I guess like I could have swapped it out as well for this. Ursaluna can be a little bit tricky, especially with this kind of team here as a safe swap because of Tackle being double resisted by Annihilate. But Ursaluna otherwise looks actually pretty damn decent. You can also use other safe swaps here, of course, as well. You see, for example, Rapier would also make a lot of sense, or also the Extra would make a lot of sense for this current meta. But you're going to have a lead that's going to be great against Gyarados, going to be great against Dragonite with Primarina or the Togekiss or whatever fairy type you kind of want to use for this. Also, Florges would most likely work out for this. You're going to have two Pokemon in the back that are going to be great against both Poison, which are not going to be very common, but Steel-type Pokemon as well here, which is going to be very common. So here, Hippowdon would be a great safe-swap for this team, especially also the Shadow variant would be really good for this kind of meta. But in the back, Ursaluna actually has quite a lot of play, so I'm kind of curious if Ursaluna is actually going to be that good, but I feel like it has a lot of potential for this meta, so maybe we want to take a look at this Pokemon as well again. Moving on to team number 5, we're going to have a team here around Empoleon. Empoleon is going to be an interesting Pokemon now as well, having the buffed and like new version of Steel Wing in general here is going to be a cool Pokemon, going to be able to beat basically the Hisuian Everluck, which I would imagine going to be very common, but also a Pokemon like even you beat Swampert, which is kind of wild for this Pokemon. I know you beat Swampert with this, but you're going to be able to be very good against all those fairy type Pokemon. If you want to be a little bit less spicy, you can go ahead and go for a Magnezone here, and this team is going to be totally fine as well. But yeah, it really depends on what you want to run here. I would say Empoleon Dragonite Core is just something that is kind of good for this meta. Team number 6, we're going to have Kommo-o here. Kommo-o is actually an interesting Pokemon, and here as well with like Snorlax, you could decide to go for something like the Outrage as a safe swap as well, would make some sense as well here, but Kommo-o going to be an interesting Pokemon. If you can build this Pokemon, you might want to try it out. As you can see here, it looks really, really cool for this meta. You're going to be able to beat quite a lot of Pokemon. Just having Fighting type coverage is going to be great. Annihilate is most likely a matchup that you can win in the 2-shield scenario as well for you, so definitely a cool Pokemon to play. Again, Magnezone I feel like is one of the strongest Pokemon for this meta. It's like so great against the Gyarados, so great against the fairy type Pokemon, so that's also one reason why Kommo-o might be also a very good fighting type and dragon type Pokemon, because you're going to be able to beat the Magnezone. If you wonder why there are so many cuts in this video as well, yeah, hay fever is really awkward for me right now, but it is what it is. We still kind of try to hang in there. We're going to have a team here with Golden-Go. Golden-Go is actually an interesting Pokemon, and there are two different ways of playing it. You can run Hex or also Astonish. Astonish does more damage, Hex does generate more energy. I think Hex might be a little bit better for this kind of meta, but having access to Shadow Ball and Focus Blast is going to help you out against quite a lot of Pokemon, being great against Dragon type as well as the Fairy type Pokemon, plus beating Metagross really, really hard is going to be great for you. So this Pokemon has some potential for sure, just based on the typing as well. But yeah, Gyarados here, Saysop, and Florges, or the, yeah, what's called the other Pokemon here, Togekiss in the back, going to be great for this thing. Very cool Pokemon. Let's go to team number 8. This is basically my favorite Great League team, if you saw this already on my channel, which is going to be Magnezone. The Annihilate is a safe swap. In the back, I was running Mantine before, but I guess like here we can go for Gyarados, and I feel like this team looks like so much fun, so I'm kind of curious on how good this team actually is going to be. So definitely going to try this team out when the Master League Premier Cup is going to be available for us. So this looks like a really, really solid team, so definitely stay tuned for the showcase. And let's move on to team number 8. This is going to be a double fighter line. I don't know how viable double fighter is, but I would say Florges is most likely the best lead for this one here, which he also put in there. Just going to be a little bit of a safer play to go for, and you need something kind of that is beating Annihilate pretty hard, which you're going to have here with the Florges. You can see here already you have also the option to go for the Hisuian Everluck as a lead, which is great in general, but you're going to struggle quite a bit against the Annihilate, which is going to be one of the main reasons why I didn't want to use it. Otherwise, you're going to have here the Machamp or also the Conkeldurr in the back, which has some play. Of course, Annihilate is your safe swap because it's going to be the best fighting type Pokemon to use in this meta. But I feel like this is going to be an interesting team. Not too sure how many steel types actually going to be around, because there are quite a lot of decent Pokemon that are not really relying on the steel typing. So going to be interesting. But let's move on to the final team for today. The final team is going to be around Lostheart. Lostheart is honestly such an interesting Pokemon. I feel like here again the Hisuian Everluck, which is for weird reason twice there. just maybe go for 2 Hisuian Everlux in the lead. That's also totally fine. It's going to be a very cool Pokemon here, and I would actually recommend you to go for Golisopod as a closer. Golisopod is going to be better against Fighting-type Pokemon. Feraligatr as a Say-Stop is going to be also kind of cool for this meta. Basically, what you want to do here for this team is, if you have the Everluck or the Mamoswine in the lead, you're going to have a Pokemon that's part Ice typing, so going to be great against Dragonite, going to be great against any kind of Pokemon that's weak to Ice types. You have the Say-Stop of Feraligatr having Ice Beam on this Pokemon, allowing you to basically have the same coverage as your lead already with that, and so you can bait out something like a Dragonite and still get a shield from them, and then get farm later on with your Ice-type Pokemon in the lead, which is kind of great for you. But also, if the opponent swaps in something like the Annihilate, because Annihilate is a very good Say-Stop in this current meta, you're going to have the Golisopod to completely hardwall this Pokemon, allowing you to just go for the Aerial Ace plus Shadow Claw combination and knock them out. So I feel like this is going to be one of the coolest, non-crazy meta teams here, because like we don't really have all the crazy meta Pokemon. Like, yeah, okay, you have Gyarados as an option, but like basically, you know what I mean, like all the Pokemon like Florges, like the Annihilate, all those Pokemon we don't have in this one. And so I feel like it is a cool team to use. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.